Hello, so in this video I'm going to show you how to make a strawberry. I'm going to show you how to make the model, and I'm going to show you how to render it using Marmoset toolback. So this is right here what we're going to be looking at the end of the video. This is going to be our result. I'm just showing you right now so you have an idea of what exactly we're going to be making. So let me close that, and in Maya we're going to create our model of the strawberry. So let's go ahead and create the model. So this is going to be our final result. I'm just going to move this to the side, and we're going to create it from scratch. So to start, we're going to go to create polygon primitives, and we're going to create a sphere. I'm going to press R and scale this guy up just a little bit more. I'm going to open the channel box. So this is the channel box. If yours is closed, press Ctrl A and that will open it. So as you can see, if I press Ctrl A, it cycles through all these windows here, and we want to be in the channel box. Under the channel box, you'll see inputs, and you're going to click under polysphere 1. And what we want to do here is we're going to reduce the subdivision height. So I think 15 should be good. I think that looks good to me. So now what we're gonna do is we want to shape this sphere into the shape of a strawberry. So one good thing to do always is to just go to Google and look for an image reference. So let's just shape it. So let's just look for a good one here, and you can just shape it however you want. But let's go ahead and let's go back to Maya, and I'm going to press R again and just scale this guy just a little bit like this. I'm going to hold down right click and go to vertex and select just the one at the bottom. And what I'm going to do now is press B on the keyboard, and as you can see here, soft selection mode is on now. And if you hold down V, if you hold down B and the left mouse click and drag, you can see that you can increase the radius of soft selection. And if you're not getting that for some reason, you can just double click on this icon and go to soft selection, and you can increase the radius from here as well. So I'm going to use the one at the bottom here, then just scale that down a little bit. I'm just going to look at mine here as reference. I think that's good for now. And press B again to disable soft selection. Right click and go to object mode. So as you can see now, we already have a pretty simple shape. So let's go to edge mode. Again, hold down right click and go to edge. And what we're going to do is select all these edges. Okay. So select them all. And go to, and we're going to create sets and quick select set. Click on that, and we're going to give this a name. I'm just going to call this edges. I'm just going to select the edges. It doesn't really matter what you call it. So say okay to that, and that has been saved. So now we're going to go into face mode and select all the faces. Now go to edit mesh and click on poke, and now as you can see, that added extra geometry between our faces. So deselect that. So now go to object mode, and now we're going to use the edges that we just saved. So go to modify. Now I believe it's under select, quick select sets, and select the one that you saved. Mine was selected edges. So that selects the edges that we saved. And what we're going to do is press the backspace on your keyboard to delete them basically. So as you can see now, this is how your model should look like, right? And now we're going to select all the faces again, drag and select them all, but this time I'm going to deselect the ones at the top. So I'm going to deselect, hold down Control to deselect stuff. I'm going to deselect all these guys. And if you hold down Tab on your keyboard, you can also deselect by just dragging things. I'm going to deselect these guys. So that should be good. So basically, I'm deselecting the areas where I'm not going to create the seeds. These little guys. We're not going to create that on those areas. I'm going to do the same with the bottom. I'm going to deselect some of these guys. So I'm going to hold down the Tab key and just drag. I think that should be good. So as long as you don't have the bottom and the top selected, you should be good. So one more thing I'm going to do is I'm going to press 3 on my keyboard. Basically that means we're going into subdivision mode. That's what you call it in Maya. So now we're going to edit mesh and extrude. So notice that when you would just click on extrude, nothing really happens. What we want to do is we want to select keep faces together, and we want to click on this and set it to off, which means basically what Maya is doing is extruding the faces separately instead of as a whole. So now that we have that, what we're going to do is we're going to press G again, and that means we're going to be doing another extrusion. So press G. This time you don't have to deselect this option, it's perfectly fine. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the blue arrow from my extrusion and drag that in like that. It's looking kind of harsh right now, so what I'll do is I'm going to click on the cube here and use the one in the middle to scale that guy down, just to soften it up a little bit. This might be just a little bit harsh. I think we can soften it out just a little bit more. But let's keep going. So now I'm going to press G again. So we're doing another extrusion. And I'm going to use the blue arrow one more time. Or actually, I'm going to Control C that and then just leave it as is. And I'm going to press G one more time. And now I'm going to use the blue arrow. This is where I'll get the little seed out of that area there. Okay, so that's good. So that concludes the extrusions. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to press Q just to exit my extrusion, and I'm going to go to select grow. What that does is selects the entire seed here. What I want to do for that is we're going to save it as a selection like we did before. So we go to create set quick select set, and I'm going to call this seeds. Click OK. Now that I have those selected, what I'm going to do is hold down Shift and drag over the whole thing. So what that does is it selects everything except for the seeds. And on that, I'm going to hold down right click and go to assign new material. Let's just go to Lambert. That should be okay. I'm going to go to Lambert 1, and I'm just going to give this a color. It doesn't matter what it is, but just so that we know, just going to set it to like a red. Actually, that's wrong. This one's Lambert 5. So let me just name it body, and let's set that to red. And then Lambert 1 is our seeds. So let's get those to like a yellow. So close this. Now if we go to object mode, this is what it looks like. Looks like our color did not change for the main body, which is odd. Oh, okay. I believe now it's correct. So I'm going to go to object mode and just assign existing material, and I'm going to give it that body material. And now I want to give the seeds that other material. Luckily we saved that selection, so we go to select, quick select sets and seeds. And now we can do hold down right click and go to existing material and just assign to the seeds material. Or actually that was Lambert 1. So that's what we get from that. So there we go. We have pretty much a good shape going on here. We just have to shape it just a little bit more so that it doesn't look too geometric. So let's go ahead and do that. Go to vertex mode, select the one at the top. What I'll do is I'll press B again to enable soft selection. And I'm going to reduce my radius just a little bit. Press W. I'm just going to move this guy down. Decrease that. Let's move it down a little bit. Something like this. So one thing that you may be noticing right now is that these guys, they're really round. Their shape is not, they're usually a little more, they're not as round as that. Well, this one looks kind of round, but they're usually a bit longer. So when it comes to that, you're going to have to do this manually. So by selecting these edges, scaling those guys down. Oops. So if you hold down shift and if you select this guy and go to select grow, and then just press G a few times so that you select the whole thing, and then just press R to scale, then you can scale this guy down a little bit. So you're gonna have to do some of that, right? There's going to be some manual work to be done here just to get it looking more correct. So you're going to have to go through all of these guys and just kind of shape them a little bit. Just set them like this, right? So that they look more correct. So that's what I recommend. I'm not going to go through every single one because that would just waste too much of our time for the video, but I recommend you go through all of these guys and just shape them like this so that you get something that looks good. But in the meantime, what I'll do is just shape this guy a little bit so that it's not too geometric. And you could do this after you're done fixing that so that it looks nice. So just move a few vertices here with the soft selection on. You can basically you know, just give it some variation. So there we go. So basically that's how you get the main body of the strawberry going. Again, you're gonna have to go through and kind of fix these guys a little bit manually. But other than that, you know, we are ready here to just create the stem that goes on top. So let's go ahead and do that. It's not gonna be super detailed. It's just gonna be a simple stem on top of the strawberry, just so that, you know, you have something that doesn't look completely bad. Shape this guy just a little bit more here. So let's go ahead and create that stem. So what you're going to do is go to create polygon primitives, and let's create a cylinder. Press R to scale that guy up. Okay, so now hold on, right click, go to face mode. I'm going to press B to deselect soft selection. I'm going to hold down the tab key and drag along all the ones at the top so that they're selected. Hold down shift and drag on the whole thing, and just backspace to delete those guys. So now we just have the top. This is all you should have. And what we'll do is we're going to select some of these edges. Oops. So just select a few random edges from the outer side of this guy, and now go to edit mesh and extrude. Use the green arrow for this guy. You know, just these are gonna be our shapes here. Maybe they go up a little bit. I'll press G and use the same green arrow and the blue one to just kind of set it down like that. Maybe one last time, G, green arrow and blue, and press Q to exit. And we're going to select these guys now, the remaining edges, and do the same thing. Let's go to edit mesh, extrude, use the green arrow, G, and now press Q. And now we have to manually fix these guys so that their shapes are nicer looking. Also, we want to press 3 to go to subdivision mode. And all you have to do now is just shape these guys. So that they look more appropriately. Again, this is going to be a really basic stem on the top. I'm not going to go too fancy with it. So there we have it. You have to click in the middle here. Press the B key. Just drag that guy down just a little bit more, just to give it more shape. Go to object mode and then just drag it down. Just to place it. We may have to rotate it with E a little bit. And there we go. I think that's good. We do want to give this guy just a little bit of thickness so that when we render it, it looks more like it has more thickness. So with the whole object selected, I'm going to scale it just a little bit more. I'm going to press R. So let's give the stem some thickness. Let's go to Edit Mesh, Extrude, and use the blue arrow. Drag that up just a little bit, just to give it some thickness. Press Q. One thing you may want to do is just give it a little bit of a, something poking there, just a little bit. So go to Face and just select the ones at the top using Tab, and use Extrude. I'm going to press R, scale that down. Press G to extrude again. W, move that guy up. R to scale. Maybe G again. So there we go. So basically we already have our model done. There's one last thing we want to do before we move on. Select the object and press 1. Same with the top. You notice that this is our low poly. Well, not really low poly, but this is how our model really looks like. But we want it to look like this. So what we're going to do, we're going to go to Mesh and Smooth. We may need to smooth this one more time, so just set it to 2. Okay, so that looks good. Let's do the same with this guy. Mesh Smooth. Press Q. And then one more thing I want to do is I want to assign the stem a different material. So hold down right click. Assign new material, Amber, and call this stem. Just give it a green color. And one last thing is we want to combine these two. So I'll select them both and go to Mesh Combine. And now it's one object. And finally we want to delete some of the history. So let's go to Edit, Delete All by Type History. And we want to name this. And now we want to export it so that we can render it in Marmoset Toolback. So go to Edit, and on File, Export Selection. I'm going to export mine as an OBJ. And just export it. So that concludes the modeling part of the strawberry. And now we're going to move on and open up Marmoset Toolback. Again, you can get the trial. There's a link in the description. So again, to get Marmoset Toolback, just go to their website and download a free trial, or just click on the link in the description and just get it. Okay, so when you open Marmoset, it should look something like this. Yours will probably look just slightly different because I'm using the Marmoset Toolback 2, and the latest version right now is 3, which is probably what your trial is going to be for. But keep in mind that they're really similar, and they should look almost like the one I'm using here. So when you open it, it should look, you know, something like this, really simple. There's nothing here. So what you want to do is you want to go to File and import your model. And this is what you should be getting. Make sure that you apply those materials in Maya, and you'll see here that those are really important because it separates in Marmoset Toolbag. It separates the materials by the same materials that you applied in Maya. So in Maya I applied 3 different materials, which was the main body and the stem and then the seeds. So that's pretty useful. Also, when you import your model, it will come with those materials here, and they also have presets. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use one of the presets. Let's use the Unreal 4 template, and to preview that in the viewer here, just drag it and apply it to the main body for this one. So I drag that into the main body. I'm going to change the background image. Let's go to sky. Under scene there should be a sky option. Under presets, let's just change it to, let's use this one, the castle sunset. I also don't want to see that background, so under mode, select color. Let's just get that to a darker color. So this is what we should be getting. So now we want to select that Unreal material. Let's just name this body. So that's our main body. I'm going to duplicate it. Just duplicate that guy. Let's duplicate it twice. This one's going to be my seeds, and this one's going to be my stem. So let's start with body. What we want to do is we want to set the glossiness of this. Let's set it to like 0.5. Color, we're going to set it to a red. Okay. Metalness, this is not a metallic surface, so we're going to set that all the way to 0. I'm going to, let's give this a secondary reflection. Let's use bling and fong, and increase this to like maybe like this. I'm looking at some images here. You know, it looks, I mean, it's kind of shiny, but it doesn't have to be. I think it looks kind of cool in the render just to have it be kind of shiny. But again, this is just a matter of and finally I'm going to give it an emissive and heat. Let's see, set the temperature to like that. So that's just to give it a little bit, just like a nicer, like it's got a bit of a color that's not just red. So this is at 0. You know, I think it looks kind of nicer like this. So I think I'm going to leave the strawberry to that. And again, I mean, you can mess with all these settings, and you know, you can change these too. So that's gonna be my strawberry. Now let's get the let's just get the seeds. They're pretty easy to do. So we're gonna drag our seeds material and just gonna get it there into the seeds. First I'm going to disable the metallic, and let's set the color to something like a yellowish color, something like that. Click OK, and I think for that's all we need to do. It's not nothing fancy. Then finally let's get the stem, plug this guy up here, disable the metalness, and then just give it like a green stem. Something like that, you know. Again, that's like super simple. We just had that so that it didn't look. You can get really fancy with the stem and make it look realistic, and that will, push your strawberry to another level. So something like that for the stem, and there we go. By the way, to rotate the light, sorry I didn't mention this, hold down the shift key and the right mouse click and drag, and you can rotate your light just to see what it looks like. Again, make sure you shape it so that it looks correct and it doesn't look as round. I did that for some of these, like I did it for that, but I didn't do it for all of these guys. So I think I want to render it like this. Before we move on and render it, one more thing I want to do, go into in the render tab and set ambient occlusion. So basically what that does is it gives a little bit of shading where things meet. So where the seats are, there's a little bit of a crevice there. So and you can increase the strength too. And the size. I think something like that looks good. And you can also enable local reflections and high-res shadows. I don't think we really have any shadows here. And if you want to see if you want to render a wireframe too, you can just click on wireframe, increase the intensity. Okay, so I think that looks pretty good. So let's say we are ready to render our strawberry. And by the way, if you want to duplicate this guy, you can always just select it and press Ctrl D and then just drag it out. Oops. Then just duplicate this guy. Something weird going on with my seeds here. Not sure why they're showing dark like that. It's really strange. It happened when I duplicated. Maybe I just need to reapply that material. But anyway, you can just duplicate it and just rotate it however you want. In my case, I'm just going to delete that guy and just do a render. So to do a render, all you have to do is go to, first you have to set where you want your render to save. So if you go to preferences and go to output, you can set where you want that to be saved. And to save the actual render, you can go to capture, and under settings you can set the size, the format, click OK, and then once you're ready just to save that screenshot, just click on image, and that's going to save it in that folder that you picked, and then you can open it from there and do whatever you want with it. And depending on the size that you choose, you can get a really high res render. So yeah, I think that concludes the tutorial, and I really hope you learned some pretty good. I hope that this was a good lesson for you to learn how to make a strawberry, and just how to do basic renders in Marmoset Toolbag. Again, I didn't really do anything fancy with textures, but you can imagine if you did something like that, and if you got your stem looking more realistic, you could get a pretty nice render from this. So yeah, I hope you liked the tutorial, and if you enjoyed it, just subscribe and stay tuned for more tutorials. So one last thing before I go here is, if you're interested in downloading or getting the specific Maya file for that strawberry, you can just head over to my website. The link's in the description below, and you can just get the download for the Maya file that I used. You're going to get this exact same Maya file, just so that you can use this as reference, or if you're just curious as to what it really looks like, just download it at my website. Links down below. Cheers.